I'm pretty sure he maybe had 1 million somewhere, or he's a whale nowadays somewhere. So yeah, he's a pioneer whom I'm grateful to, whether it was in a good or a bad way.
Factoid.
Sorry, I was on mute. So I'm saying it's the same situation. I'm sure most of you guys are holding other coins. One of us here might be having 10,000 coins for for another token, and I don't want to mention names. Would you sell your 10,000 tokens right now to buy pizza?
That's an interesting question, Phil. Um, I feel like as Ruben has said, this guy was uh, apparently his name is Laszlo High something. Yeah, so he was a programmer, and I think as Ruben has said, he played a very pivotal role to. It was at least the first commercial transaction, as in first public major transaction on
Yeah.
Bitcoin at the time. Um, yeah, so it played a very pivotal role to usher in the cryptocurrency market as we know it today, and even Bitcoin as it were. So to your question, I think we we don't need two messiahs. Once the first messiah is, take it and move.
Yeah.
I get it. So maybe I can ask Ruben. Lisa will ask questions also. But Ruben, I usually see Ruben trading in the office. So Ruben, how is BTC doing on this pizza day? We've noticed the last 2 days sort of like a short squeeze. Pamba, are
Yeah.
we done moving sideways?
By no means this is a financial advice, but I would say this is where it dips down as it pulls up. So technically, it's normally say it's an M going upwards. So normally in these situations, we saw a pullback just before the halving, which I capitalized on and never returned. But currently, is I think it is going to shoot upwards. It might go down kidogo, but it won't be to those levels that currently it won't be to those levels that it is 20,000. It will probably hit around 62 as much, then go back, shoot to predict maybe 85,000, hopefully 110 sooner or later.
Now we are at 70K. Are we at
Yeah,
70, 71K? Yeah.
we're at
Um,
70. Yeah.
we're at 70. Yeah. So basically that's it. So Lisa, you
Mhm.
can take on.
Okay, so I'll start with what is Bitcoin Pizza Day and how did it come to be? Maybe Jonathan can start.
Oh, thanks, Lisa. So, from my understanding, it just marks um, a pivotal day in the journey of Bitcoin to where it is today. So it was one of the first public major transactions on the network, and it was actually 10,000 bitcoins that were used to buy pizza at Papa John's Pizza uh,
Mm,
by a programmer. So I, I think now looking back in hindsight, we celebrate the day because the 10,000 BTCs fast forward to today are worth quite an amount. Um, and due to the fact that that happened and somebody used such an amount of money to just get pizza for, uh, it's a major event in the life of BTC. Fast forward to today, so that's why it's celebrated for what it is. So it's exactly as the name goes, in my view.
Mhm. Is the guy still alive? And if is he in depression? Is he okay?
uh, as long as he's not in Kenya.
Yeah. So what has it that he's alive? And then being a programmer, he probably had a good bag,
Mm,
yeah. He probably
yeah,
was sitting on a milli or something. So he
yeah.
was like, 10 is like what? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was
Mm-hmm.
cheap change. I think when you reach to those levels that you are trying to do a test scenario of using 10,000 BTC, I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure he had over a million or something. So the moment he did a
Yeah.
transaction and he realized, oh, I have value, but maybe he's one of those whales who are manipulating the market. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on this particular day? What are your thoughts on the significance of this day? I know
Mm.
Jonathan had touched on it, but maybe Ruben can tell us his thoughts on it.
I believe this marks the most important thing in Bitcoin or the blockchain network because BTC is the parent coin of every other coin. So without BTC, we wouldn't be talking or having even this conversation in the first place. And I think that in itself is a huge, huge moment, which give a real scenario, a real life scenario that BTC can be adopted in the current market and currency. It has value because you exchanged currency for goods and now services nowadays. And with that, it created a very solid foundation whereby each and every halving we can see the value of cryptocurrency or BTC rising up.
Mhm.
So with that 10,000, I mean that is the best foundation for any crypto. Or okay, I'm not saying in an economical perspective, but it was a solid foundation to start real life scenarios. So yeah, it's very important in my opinion.
If it was you and if we could go back in time, what would you buy? The guy, I think the guy was hungry and he decided to buy pizza. What would you buy? What would you guys buy using 10,000 BTC? If we
Am,
could go back in time.
am I going back with the same knowledge that I have now that BTC will
Yes.
reach to these levels? Okay, then that's an interesting scenario. I think I would. One, I think I'll be in the know that I'll be a pioneer. So I will invest in as much in the most least amount of BTC as possible. Not maybe 10,000. I'd go around 5,000 and buy a cup of coffee or even a donut, anything to test the scenario. Then out of
Yeah.
that, I'll be just waiting and waiting and waiting. Yep.
You wouldn't get an Audi?
By then it
That's
will
a
be
good one.
by then it wouldn't have costed the same amount.
True.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah. Jonathan?
Maybe before Jonathan says, I have to confess that
Okay.
there's a particular airdrop I get every month, six
Mhm.
coins. I won't mention the platform, and
Uh,
and you know they are funny because they show you the much you've received. I received for 1 year, and that particular coin got to its all-time high. And I looked at the money. If I was holding, I looked at the money I would have had, but I've been withdrawing, man. I've been spending worse than the guy who did the pizza. I think I
Oh
buy
no.
pizza every day
And how are you
from
feeling?
the day I felt it is the day it reached its all-time high. I looked. It shows you if you had the coins, like how much you have had. So I looked at. I was like, wow, all this money will have been in my wallet. But I
for
mean,
more.
so yeah. So the guy, I understand him. He at that time, I mean, he felt the way I'm feeling. So yeah.
I think as a trader, you have to have a heart of stone. Otherwise,
Oh
utakufa
yeah.
na pressure.
Yes. Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Emotional
Yeah.
scandal.
Hmm. So we were asking Jonathan what he would buy with the 10,000 BTC.
That's a good question. I think I'd buy a Bible.
Uh-huh. That's a good one.
Yeah, I'd buy a
A
Bible,
Bible.
and yeah, I feel like the cryptocurrency and BTC is as it's it's what can I say? It signifies sort of a freedom to some
Mhm.
extent, like freedom from
Mhm.
the centralized
Yeah.
grid system.
Yeah.
So and I feel like a Bible is synonymous to freedom as well in a spiritual capacity. Maybe to others it's a Quran, to others it's probably the whatever books that other denominations have. But I feel like a Bible would be ideal for me being a Christian. So I just buy a Bible and be like, fast forward 10 years later, it'll be recorded.
True.
Mm, nice.
Somewhere,
That's nice.
somewhere, a Bible, yeah.
Yeah. And do you think BTC will ever be used as a regular form of payment
Um,
in the near
that's a
future?
that's a great question, Lisa. To answer your question, the place where I see BTC as an asset, because for me I see it as an asset. Think of your real estate, think of your gold, silver, like many other real world assets that we have. BTC would be one of the greatest assets that will exist in my view. And this will materialize not in such a distant future, if you ask me. And I feel like a decade from now is a fair enough time horizon to think about it. So fast forward, say 2032 or 2034, the asset is worth $1 million, and then even with a 0 point something, it's still worth something. So at the time, it'll be a matter of how many sats can you get, like satoshis, from it. Just the same way you'd look at real estate investors who would buy an eighth, maybe a quarter, maybe an acre. It'll be an asset that plays in that level. Um, Currently, just to compare, most people compare it with gold. So currently, gold sits at a 10, 11 point something. It's been on an uptrend recently. So it sits
Mhm.
at a fair, maybe 10, $12 trillion market cap. BTC is probably sitting at a 1.2, 1.3 ish market cap. And there are predictions that, it might flip that market cap gold. So that means that people will now prefer Bitcoin as a wealth storage as opposed to gold even. So when it gets to that level, um, to answer your question, countries like El Salvador are now using BTC as their legal tender. And then you can literally walk to the Mamamboga and pay them with BTC. I feel like more
Yeah.
and more countries are going to be receptive to this. And the reason will be, some will be for lack of no of options, actually, if you ask me. So a good example would be Nigeria, where whose currency has been devalued upwards of 80, 60-ish percent.
Mm.
So if a currency is devaluing that at that rate, then it means people will innately look for an alternative to what fiat currency is doing to them. There are talks about CBDCs and all these digital currencies provided by the government, but then going back to the the cause of the problem is having these centralized entities or bodies have a monopoly, so to say, on money. So they decide how much to print, they decide when to print, they decide when to ease, when not to ease, all these moving parts. So people, I believe, will surely, slowly but surely, come to this awakening and we look for options. And the moment you just start looking, the first option that looks at you is Bitcoin for no brainer, for starters. So many people, even guys who started out in crypto, you just hear them talk about how they first came into BTC and then slowly spiraled into all these altcoins and your meme coins and dog coins, all the other stuff. So yeah, to answer your question, it will be used as a currency. It's already being used in a number of countries, El Salvador being one of them. And as more adoption is coming in, and with the ETFs being approved, even governments now have awakened to these movement or revolution, so to say. So they're now causing up to it. We are expecting another ETF tomorrow on Ethereum. I hope it happens. I really hope it does, because that means that the industry is really moving forward. Yeah.
Where, where,
So
where is the ETF from? Sorry. Well, where is it being launched from?
the US, the SEC is the major, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be used. I believe it definitely will be used in not a distant future. And the
Yeah.
questions now would be like, dad, mom, ulikuwa wapi watu wakinunua Bitcoin?
True.
So like the Kashamba story. So yeah, I think it's gonna be
Mhm.
it very soon.
There's a place I saw people were paying in BTC to buy. Was it Chapo Smoky? Ama Smoky Pasua?
Yes.
Smart,
In a,
yeah,
Yeah.
in
smart.
a feature phone,
Mm.
yeah. In a feature phone, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like actually Africa, we badly need it. We really do. As in,
Mhm.
talk about inflation, talk about interest rates, talk about insecurity. I feel like we badly need it. Yeah, and more people are causing up to it now.
Yeah.
Sorry to interject, but when you say in Africa, we badly need it, are
Mhm.
you talking about the Nigerian example?
Yeah,
Uh, they,
yeah.
you saw they badly needed it, and the adoption was so high, but
So no, they did it.
the reverse effect was the naira was going, yeah, was tumbling down.
Yeah.
Uh, Ruben, I don't know. What do you think about the Nigerian example?
That's one. It shows the importance of having BTC in the market, and also, as Jonathan was saying, this is a form of freedom that African countries can utilize in a proper way in scenarios that centralized currency is has a lot of manipulative aspect behind the scenes, whether it's loans, whether it's trading, whether it's whatever aspect is being controlled by one person. And if that person decides that the Kenyan currency needs to be lower, he can control that. If he decides, or they decide it can be higher, they have the power to control that. And when you have BTC, you have the freedom of saying, I won't use the Kenyan shilling, I will use the BTC and trade in whatever aspect. Of course, that has a reverse effect to the current currency in the country. And I'd also say it is also good to adopt. Also, that is a good scenario whereby instead of going against it, if you cannot beat them, join them in this scenario. So, if Nigeria could take an example of saying, okay, we can see the demand of BTC is high, people are doing trading with it, not just for scamming, but even legitimate businesses. And with that scenario, they can now create a joined, or what are they called? Is it a CBC, or let's take Ecuador. Is it Ecuador or something in South American continent? That
Venezuela or
yeah, one of those countries. I'm not so sure.
El Salvador.
Yeah, El Salvador. Yeah, that one. Najua tu inaanza na hii. But yeah, in El Salvador, it's working. And if one of the things that I've noticed is that they have expanded the economy status to even building more jails since they have a lot of cartels there. Hiyo pesa inatoka kwa BTC. They're almost clearing their country debts. And here in Kenya, we are just swimming and drowning in debts each and every moment. So in this opportunity, I would really appreciate the mentality that people have about cryptocurrency to be changed towards positivity. Because once somebody told me this, in the future, wealth will be categorized with the computing power that somebody has. What I mean by that is, if Ruben has a mining factory in Kenya for mining BTC, when it comes to the future, I'll be considered among the wealthy people compared to somebody who has, no, I'm not saying in a bad way, but who has kept Kenya shillings in a bank and trying to invest. So my computing power, because you're entering in an age of AIs and a lot of technological advancement, that determines your wealthy status in quote unquote scenario. So in a situation whereby my computing power, regardless of whether it is a laptop, a mining rig, or whatever aspect of computing I have, it will determine how I'm going to earn a living in the future. And since the future is mostly driven using technology, AI, electric vehicles, and all that stuff, I think it's a good thing to adopt now than just wait for things to blow up in the future, like
Mm.
Nigeria. Mm.
And what do you think is the biggest challenge that we are facing in the widespread adoption of crypto in Africa?
Uh, I think rigidity in approaching this blockchain. By rigidity, I mean is the mental stance. So for example, we might say somebody somewhere has had cryptocurrency, and they have had scenarios where they have been scammed because most that is what the media is showing a lot of people. They tend to have a very rigid mentality. So in a scenario when you can tell, if I tell Philip, bro, si ununue BTC ndio next time ukitaka kununua nyumba Karen unaweza buy, hata hutaki kufanya kitu ingine, uishikilie tu. The first thing you'll ask, this is scam bwana, hii ni scam. The same way people say trading is a gambling, we do not have enough information to work around it. And the only thing that you can depend in is how people view cryptocurrency. So if somebody sees this is an opportunity I'm willing to explore, that will give us a better opportunity of adopting it as a continent. But if somebody thinks hii cryptocurrency ni nini, BTC ni nini, pesa inatoka wapi? Yeah, I understand the legitimacy and the questions that are coming behind it, but I'm just telling you, okay, listen, I may not be able to explain, but let us do it in a practical scenario and see if it will work. Just that. I think that's something I'd say is lacking.
Mhm. Jonathan?
Yeah, I feel like Ruben has done justice to it. It's just to add on the same, it's lack of knowledge. You know, the Bible says, "My people perish because of lack of knowledge."
Due to lack of knowledge, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like, um, and that's a very interesting point because, um, just to speak to what Ruben has said, you would want to not just dismiss it. The ideal thing would want to do is, seek the knowledge. If you perish because of lack of knowledge, then seek the knowledge, and then seek it in the right places. Trust me, if you seek the right knowledge and seek it in the right places, like forums like this, you definitely will come out on top. The other thing that I feel like has put cryptocurrency and BTC into bad light is because of the scams that are around. But then, where are there no scams? I feel like the financial system as is is one of those is one that is mad with millions of scams in it because of its size. Even KYC, money laundering, all these things are in place. Money laundering laws to cap it are in place, but it still happens. So you can't say you want a space that is void of that. There is up, so there is down. There is good, so there is bad. So it is for us. It's upon ourselves to just seek the right knowledge, uh, push the narrative. Those of us that are, I would say, privileged to be preview of the right knowledge, try spread it as far and wide as we can, and have such forums to push the narrative forward and educate people. Because in equal amount, there are also people who are out there to get others. So let's create that better balance where, in as much as there are many scammers out there to get people, but when the time is given and the forum is available, just try put out gems to make sure that people are able to profit from this. Fellow Africans, I'm very bullish on Africa on this. I feel like we should really ride on this wave. Uh, all these other continents have had their run, they have their inventions, their planes, their industrial ages, all those things have come and passed. But I feel like this is an equal platform for everyone to just take a piece of the pie. Yeah. Now
Yeah.
that we're talking about Pizza Day.
Mhm.
Nice
Yeah.
one.
And who
Pun
is buying?
intended. So, what is the best way to spread the gospel to the elderly and those people who don't understand what crypto is? For me, I think the best way is translating in all languages that are there possible in Africa, in Kenya, Kiswahili, Kikuyu, whichever, so that people understand in their mother tongue.
Factoid. Factoid.
Sure.
There's a time we were doing Kikuyu episodes.
Yeah, we
My
had
memory is
Yeah.
right.
started.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was a gem. I'd watched a few. I love them.
So we
Mm,
could do the next podcast in Kikuyu and
Yeah,
translate
we
the
should.
languages.
we should.
Yeah, by the
Why?
way, yeah.
And okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Let's be careful. I mean, I'm not trying to say all of us here are Kikuyus, but we can get people for different vernaculars. Then we can link with our
Ah,
local medias,
yes,
Kameme,
sir.
Mm.
Yes,
uh,
sir.
Mhm.
and talk to them, educate them. Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Mustaf. Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
And
Agreed.
there's a comment from YouTube from a guy called KAH Karani. He says, Jay, you look like a hip hop celeb, and also is Gochapaa offering pizza on BTC Pizza Day? You guys, you can see the comments. Uh, I'm sure you can see.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
have a pizza give out. So make sure you're in our Telegram community. Uh, we are going to airdrop some pizzas there.
Definitely. Definitely.
So has Lisa left us in protest? But anyway, thank you guys. Thank
Yeah.
you guys.
Amesikia pizza inaenda akaenda.
Ametoka. So, but thank you guys. I mean, that was a nice conversation. That was good conversation. And sorry, Lisa, you had left us for a moment.
Yeah, I had dropped.
Yeah. So I think it's time. It's 3 p.m. And thank you guys for participating. Thank you, Lisa, for the questions. We'll have now a more expanded conversations uh, coming in the future. So thank you guys for the participation.
Yeah.
Any last comment, maybe?
Let's buy pizzas.
Okay then. So that that that
Yeah.
that will be the bye. Thank you guys.
All right.
Cheers.
Thank you.